In the last 24 hours, the Indiana Fever have done the basketball equivalent of winning the lottery 5 times in a row. Their front office didn't just make a splash in free agency, they created a tsunami that is sending shockwaves through the entire WNBA. They signed Natasha Howard to a max deal and re-signed Kelsey Mitchell to a max deal, bringing her back to the Indiana Fever where she was originally. The Fever didn't come to play. They are on a mission to win now, like 2025 championship season is approaching. Been drafted, and then they immediately announced a 3-way deal that sent Sophie Cunningham to the Fever and Nalissa Smith to Dallas. This team's performance in just one day increased dramatically, proving that they are a super squad. Just take a look at the roster they have put together. Howard, Natasha Turner, Brianna Kelsey Mitchell, and Sophie Cunningham were retained as the starting 5. The 3 can compete against Caitlin at the 1, Kelsey at the 2, Lexi Hall, and Sophie. This lineup, Natasha Howard, is undoubtedly among the most striking free agency hauls in the Indiana Fever. Free agency was one of the biggest stories in WNBA history. The front management remained silent in January as everyone questioned them, but then they released a basketball bombshell that sent the league reeling. It was no secret that they signed some of the league's biggest stars. However, there was a wild rumor that no one wanted to play with Kayla Clark up there in Indiana. That was untrue, though, as you may recall, when everyone was making fun of the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever shocked the entire WNBA by signing 4 major stars in one free agency period just a few months ago. Critics said that no one would want to come play with Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but guess what happened? The Fever pulled off one of the most shocking free agency hauls we've ever seen in the WNBA. The front office simply showed everyone that they're not playing around anymore. Brianna Turner, a former Defensive Player of the Year. The fact that Sophie Cunningham and Kayla Thornton simultaneously added championship caliber talent to the team, and that Jaylen Brown voluntarily and eagerly joined this team, dog, is amazing because, in spite of all the online criticism, this team managed to assemble the best free agency I believe in for the offense. These aren't just good players who picked Indiana, they are well-established stars. When they had the option to go wherever, Howard's championship experience will change this locker room. She has averaged 16.2 points and 6.5 rebounds over her last 3 seasons, bringing all-star numbers to a team that is in dire need of scoring options. Howard is exactly what the Fever needed, someone who knows how to win at the highest level and can dominate on both ends. We will hear from John Quill shortly. Oh, great cutout in the back door. And Howard Lala-Kwai, the rookie, enters the game as Howard H.S. after Willoughby makes a stunning pass from Natasha Howard inbound. With the Fever ranking close to the bottom in defensive rating the previous season, Brianna Turner will completely transform their interior defense. She is one of the league's most underappreciated defensive players, averaging 1.4 blocks per game over her career and making opposing forwards' lives miserable. Fever was being harassed in the paint, but that has stopped now that Turner is patrolling the lane. The Phoenix offense has been playing hard in this first half, but Turner comes over with the rejection and the shot clock violation. Keep in mind that she had a career-best 45 against the Fever in New York's first game at Barclays Center this season. Sophie Cunningham doesn't bring that much need to be tough and shoot well, as seen by their career 36% three-point shooting percentage. Forget about Kelsey Mitchell, the last piece in this championship puzzle that completes the Fever's amazing roster turnaround is her seasoned leadership. The reason this was so shocking was that the Fever front office was utterly silent in January, which made fans anxious as they watched other teams make moves, while Indiana appeared to be doing nothing. Some wondered if the front office was even attempting to build around Clark. Behind the scenes, they were planning what might have been the greatest free agency haul in WNBA history. Uncertainty about it. And when we look at all of these teams collectively, no one was able to acquire as many superstars at multiple positions to help improve their basketball team as the Indiana Fever did, bro. They covered every aspect of the game, including defense, front court, back court, and everything in between. The Fever didn't just make a few good moves, they completely changed their roster. Other teams made big-time pickups like Phoenix did, but it didn't even come close to what the Fever was able to do. Overnight, they added more than simply supporting players. They added several championship-caliber starters who enhanced Caitlin Clark's game and quickly fixed every single flaw from the previous campaign. Defense, shooting, championship experience, and plans for their new practice facility were all secured in one spectacular offseason. They immediately began moving the team around, and they aren't wasting any time because they know that everyone is watching them. They had the league's highest viewership. It may be over for the rest of the league, but the Fever wasn't done changing their roster. With one explosive social media post, they made sure the entire WNBA knew exactly what was happening. This wasn't your typical free agency announcement with some simple graphics and welcome messages. No, the Fever dropped a championship statement that had everyone's jaw on the floor. Oh, bro, now that everything has been said, the Indiana Fever posted a picture of all their new signings on social media a few hours ago with the caption, "Indiana Fever made moves in free agency," and the fire emoji blazing next to it. In order to let the world know how this free agency process went, let's pull it up right now. The visual display, which marked the beginning of a new era in Indiana basketball, wasn't subtle. Rather, it was like blazing a torch in the shadow of doubt, only showcasing their new players. This was the Fever telling the entire league that they were coming for the championship right now. Now, I know some of you are wondering why Kelsey Mitchell is here right now, but we must all remember that she was a free agent. Yes, he was. And she had the option to leave, but she chose not to. She could have left Dodge, joined another team, started a whole new legacy, and left this basketball team. For years, the narrative was that players didn't want to join the Fever. Now we're seeing the exact opposite, with championship caliber players choosing to stay in Indiana and their own stars choosing to stay. Kelsey Mitchell, who was a free agent in that announcement photo, could have left for any team she wanted, but she chose to stay with the Fever because she saw exactly what they were building. Kelly has returned, and I can assure you that she is aware of what is ahead for the future, as I and every Indiana fan are aware, is a championship that is loading and undoubtedly on. This could be one of the best off seasons from a team in any sport. One fan shared this on social media, and thousands of people agreed. The reactions tell you everything you need to know about how big this is. Not just the WNBA, but any sport and the level of transformation we're talking about here. The Indiana Fever's post is a powerful statement to the entire WNBA. The Fire might move in free agency right here. The reason this announcement is so powerful isn't just who they signed, but the whole picture they've put together. A few months ago, this was a bottom-tier team that couldn't even compete with the league's elite, but now they've completely changed overnight into genuine contenders for the championship. Emoji because they're telling everyone that it's about to go down, bro. As soon as Sophie Cunningham was cut, Sydney Colson was right there, and Breonna Turner was down there. This social media announcement wasn't just news. It was the Indiana Fever formally putting the entire WNBA on notice that the championship was loading. This is a team that is built to win now and for the foreseeable future. However, by focusing on specific players who perfectly fill every gap in their roster, it is about to go down this upcoming season. No one made any moves, and it is obvious how they made moves. The most absurd aspect of all of this is that they haven't finished the Fever yet. They still have one slot available on the roster and will have the 19th selection in the next draft. This already amazing team might get even better before the season begins. Jaylen Brown is on it. Just take a look at this guy right here. Their bench could be a starting five. Do you realize that, bro? The Indiana Fever bench could start 5 games against any WNBA team, day or night. Without a doubt, that last roster plays an afterthought. It's actually the last piece of a puzzle. that began back in January when fans were worried and basketball pundits questioned Indiana's approach, and everyone believed the team was sleeping through free agency. Regardless of your opinion of this team, the front office's accomplishments were simply amazing, and they should be discussed almost daily because, as I'm telling you right now, nobody gave a damn. Kelly and Amber were quietly carrying out one of the most brilliant strategic plans we've seen in WNBA history. Critics were everywhere, claiming that the Fever was wasting Caitlin Clark's rookie season by not improving the roster, and fans became anxious as they watched other teams stack their rosters. Indiana had the advantage of going out there and doing what they did, and no one saw it coming. Remember how quiet the Fever was when other teams were making headlines with their January signings? Silence was calculated patience. The front office was carefully working on multiple deals simultaneously, orchestrating each move like master chess players thinking 5 steps ahead. Lineups, while Indiana appeared frozen, but Kelly and Amber had already planned out exactly how they wanted to change this team behind closed doors. As January came to an end, we kept waiting, thinking, damn, are they not going to make any moves? Then all of a sudden, the Indiana Fever began making moves, and suddenly, boom, people started coming. This person came and that person came, and suddenly everyone was saying, damn, who else is there going to Indiana? Because that was the situation as it transpired. Their strategy of strategically clearing roster space, making difficult decisions regarding departures, and trading the valuable number 8 pick created ideal openings for their targeted acquisitions. The Sydney Colson acquisition from Las Vegas is just one example of their brilliant approach. Insiders described it as a chess move that was unexpected by everyone, centered on ostentatious signings. As you can see from some of these comments, the Fever made the correct decisions at the right time and obtained seasoned leadership that will be crucial for their younger players. Every player on the Indiana F roster and Coach Stephanie White, you know what makes this whole thing even more impressive? I can't wait for the 2025 season to start. Amber and Kelly particularly targeted players whose abilities are a fantastic fit for Caitlin Clark's style of play, pinpointed exactly what, while other teams played checkers in January with obvious headline-grabbing moves, the Fever front office played 4D chess. Every move they made set up subsequent moves that created a domino effect that resulted in this incredible new roster from a team I've witnessed across any sport. Yes, and I got to harp that one because when you look at it, you can see that it wasn't a waste of money. The team needed defense, rebounding, shooting, and leadership, and they found the perfect pieces to fill those gaps. They had to persuade several players to support a vision that no one else could see, but they successfully negotiated intricate agreements, timed everything flawlessly, and kept everything secret until they unveiled their masterpiece. The patience and vision needed to pull this off is astounding. Basketball experts are calling Kelly and Amber's accomplishments not just good business, but practically legendary. They were able to radically change a team virtually overnight, converting what many thought was a one-player squad into what may be the league's most comprehensive roster. Charity organizations, the Indiana Fever, aren't just a team getting better, they're undergoing a cultural revolution. One person said the team is built for a title win in 2025. Well done putting together the roster. Another said, great move, still have one more move to make that open roster spot, yes. That's crazy, y'all, because we still have an open roster spot and some money left, but I think they might be saving that for the draft. Listen to what these new recruits have to say. Players like Sophie Cunningham and Natasha Howard aren't just there to earn a paycheck. They're imagining a future with Caitlin Clark at its center. The passion of these seasoned players is astounding. The myth that stars wouldn't want to play with a rookie is being refuted by the fact that these seasoned champions are actively selecting Indiana because of the vision being developed there. The Fever aren't just assembling talent, they're also setting the groundwork for what might grow to be a landmark WNBA force, as one question remains. Are we witnessing the emergence of the next great, their championship window blasts open, dynasty of basketball?